both of them are Democrats, that led us down to this path of destruction. Andrew Cuomo, the architect of no cash bail, raised the age, and closing Rikers Island. And who is a partner with him on that? His apprentice, Zohran Mamdani. They're both bad for the city. That's why the Republican is the only candidate who can pave the way for a return like we had with Giuliani in '93.
There you go. Joining me now, Liz Peek, Syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor, Caroline Downey, National Review columnist. So John Catsimatidis wants Curtis to drop out, but Andrea Catsimatidis is for him. She's the head of the Manhattan Republican Party. All the Republicans are sticking with him. Liz Peek wants him out. Liz, do you think it really would matter?
It could.
I'm giving you total equal time. I think I shortchanged you on the radio. So I want you to
hardly.
have total equal time.
No. I think it could matter. Polling shows, I mean, obviously we all wonder about the polls, but polling does show that if it's a two-person race, Andrew Cuomo is within striking distance, whatever you want to call it. The lead is within the margin of error almost, like 5 points instead of 4. So do I think so? Yeah, I do think that Cuomo is coming on here, despite his best efforts, by the way. I've never seen a worse campaign or a worse campaigner. But I do think he could close the gap if Curtis steps aside. But, you know, David Asman raised a really interesting question or point, which is how about if Cuomo comes out and says and arranges with Curtis Sliwa to be his deputy mayor in charge of policing, security, et cetera, stuff that Sliwa is really very good at. So Sliwa's followers might say, okay, that's a pretty good platform. I'll go with that team.
The important thing is he's not going to drop out. And all the Republicans are sticking with him, from George Pataki to Ed Cox, the party chairman, on down, including, I was reading in the New York Post, the county chairman are sticking with Curtis. So it's not going to happen. Curtis won the debate, and Curtis is pounding away. I mean, you read the New York Post calling for him to come out. I call it a non-denial denial. I mean, it was a non-call because they acknowledged that Cuomo on the issues has been poisoned. And with all respect to my dear friend David Asman, none of that stuff would ever happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can understand, to Curtis Sliwa's credit, why he would be so defiant and stubborn about this, because his performance was exemplary on the debate stage. He wants this so much more than Cuomo does. Cuomo is tired. He almost thinks like it's in the bag because of the political dynasty that the Cuomos have enjoyed. Sliwa is working very hard for it. The problem is that the electoral math is just not mathing. Yeah. It's not working out.
The Republican can't win.
No.
The Republicans shouldn't be disempowered. I mean, they got 30% of the vote in the last mayoralty, Republican. Look, I have no doubt Mandami is going to win, even though I'm sticking with Curtis. But I just think the whole thing is an interesting thing. There has not been a single poll out since the debate. All the polls you see were pre-debate polls. Now, there's a second debate coming up. I don't want to belabor the point, but here's the point. Mandami wins. I'm arguing it's a huge defeat for Democrats because, among other things, he becomes the poster boy for a far-left socialist platform, which they don't need. He is anti-Semitic. They don't need that either. And Elise Stefanik, who Beyond said, I believe here later in the week, she's going to win the governorship next year in New York, which will stop most of Mandami's mischief. But that's what could happen. She's the savior.
So there are stories beginning to surface about traditional Democrats retiring, which we've seen, a lot of announcements. And those primaries, Democrats are very worried that they're going to be Mamdani-like candidates trying to fill those House seats, and they may not all win. And so to your point, Larry, I do think this will encourage the left flank of the party. That is not a healthy thing for Democrats, and that's why so far, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer haven't endorsed this guy because they know he is poison. I mean, he's going to be worse for New York City than he is for the country. But the reality is, I think he hurts the state. I think he hurts the party quite significantly. Elise Stefanik, from your lips to God's ears, I think she'd be awesome. I'm sure she's going to run. And by the way, I'm not sure she'll run against Kathy Hochul because Kathy Hochul is going to be primaried. It could be another left-wing kind of Looney Tune running. So.
Now, if you're looking for someone to save New York, it's Kathy Hochul. It's Elise Stefanik.
Yeah.
Can I just raise another thing, Caroline Downey? 515,000 illegals have been deported since Inauguration Day. Department Department of Homeland Security says we are on track to deport 600,000 by the end of the year. That would be a world record for the United States. And here's one of my favorites. 1.6 million illegals have voluntarily self-deported per DHS. Now, that is something.
That was my favorite buried lead, too, was the self-deportation rate, because what that says is that Trump's little innovation, where he offered that $1,000 stipend, was actually a good incentive, and it made ICE's job a lot easier. Now we don't have to do these spectacles as much out on the street with ICE confronting protesters, although that's inevitably happened, too, because of the sanctuary city policies and, you know, of course, Chicago and the National Guard. That's all been compounding this. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, what Trump has done the most successfully is he's restored DHS and immigration enforcement as fundamental missions of a functioning country.
And is popular because of it. Don't you think? Popular because of it.
And the amazing thing is polling, even with all the noise that Democrats are making about this, polling consistently shows a considerable majority of Americans back these immigration measures. I mean, it really is phenomenal. New York Times just had a poll out, CNN and New York Times, 56% say all illegals should be deported. And that's pretty remarkable considering all the flack that the president is taking, all the negative news stories about ICE, to your point. All these pictures are so dramatic and everything, but guess what? Americans want this to happen.
And the last few seconds, Trump won again. He can use the National Guard in Portland.
Yeah.
And Portland needs the National Guard. In fact, most people are happy to see the extra guardsmen around.
Right.
You know, they're not cops, but they're kind of like cops, and it's more safety. You want to stop crime, Mandami, more cops on the street. Nothing wrong with the National Guard coming in.
No, and it is his constitutional authority to protect federal assets, federal property, personnel, and function, and that is immigration enforcement.
Liz Peek, Caroline Downey.